All right, let's kick off this deep dive with something that, well, seems incredibly simple. It's something you might not really give a second thought to. The parasol.
Right, the parasol.
You know, that thing that gives you a bit of shade on a sunny day.
Yeah.
So our mission today, it's to unpack the global parasol market forecast, 2021-2033 insights.
Okay.
And I guess my initial question, before we even dive into the details, is how big could a market for something like parasols really be? You know, we're talking global scale here.
Well, you might be genuinely surprised.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this seemingly modest item, it generated a global market value of, get this, over $2 billion back in 2021.
Yeah.
$2041.92 million, to be precise.
$2 billion for parasols. Wow.
Exactly. And it's not, just some niche thing. It's projected to grow significantly.
Okay.
To $2,589.76 million in 2025, and then keep climbing to reach over $4.1 billion, $465.84 million by 2033.
So more than doubling.
More than doubling, yes.
Okay.
And that represents a healthy compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 6.122% year after year. Right. Which is a pretty strong indicator of, well, sustained upward momentum. So we're going to explore which regions, which countries are really driving this significant growth.
Absolutely fascinating. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's maybe start with North America. Given that global scale, how is this region contributing? Is it just keeping pace, or?
North America's performance is very robust. It had a market size of $510.479 million in 2021.
Okay.
And it's growing steadily, projected to hit $636.692 million in 2025, and then expected to reach almost $1 billion, $999.9 million by 2033.
Nearly $1 billion. That's substantial.
It is, and that comes with a steady CAGR of 5.804%. So a big, consistent piece of the global pie.
Okay, but here's where I think it gets really interesting. Within North America, which specific countries are, pulling the weight or maybe even accelerating faster?
Right. Good question. So within North America, the United States, unsurprisingly, dominates in terms of sheer market size. It was $449.221 million in 2021.
Right.
And it's projected to grow to $846.242 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 5.629%.
Still strong.
Very strong. But what's quite striking is the pace of growth in Canada and Mexico.
Ah, okay.
Canada started at $36.754 million in 21, but it's projected to hit $83.411 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of nearly 6.9%, 6.862%.
Higher than the U.S. rate, then.
Exactly. And Mexico, too. It was $24.503 million in 2021, and it's forecast to reach $70.247 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 6.773%.
Also higher. Interesting.
Yeah, so both Canada and Mexico were actually growing faster than the overall regional average, even faster than the U.S. rate.
That is interesting. What do you think might be driving that faster growth in Canada and Mexico specifically? Does the report hint at anything?
The report focuses on the numbers, but you can speculate, right?
Yes.
Often points to things like maybe increased urbanization, changing lifestyle trends, more focus on outdoor living, maybe tourism.
Yeah, or even climate factors, perhaps.
Could be. It's usually a mix. It really makes you think, though, what stands out to you about their growth compared to the overall region? It's quite a dynamic picture.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so from North America's solid performance, let's cross the Atlantic. What about Europe? How does its market look? Is it as, let's say, sunny a forecast?
Europe shows, I'd say, a more measured pace. The market was $347.126 million in 2021.
Okay.
And it's expected to grow to $685.354 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 5.854%.
So still growing at nearly 6%, but a touch slower than the global average you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Still healthy growth, definitely doubling over the period, but yeah, slightly slower than the global rate.
Yeah.
It could suggest perhaps a more mature market or maybe different patterns of outdoor space usage.
Makes sense. But even with that measured overall pace, are there any, pockets of particularly strong performance within Europe? Any standouts?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Some countries are definitely showing strong growth. The United Kingdom, for instance.
Okay.
It started at $56.165 million in 2021, and it's projected to hit $123.794 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 6.855%.
Wow, nearly 7% for the UK. That's quite high.
It is. Germany is another strong performer. $91.641 million in 21, growing to $192.974 million by 33. That's a 6.346% CAGR.
Germany's always a big market, yeah.
Right. France is growing too, $41.655 million, up to $77.596 million, but at a slightly slower pace, about 5.3%.
Okay.
And then you've got others showing steady expansion.
Yeah.
Italy, for example, going from about $15 million to nearly $27 million. Russia from around $28 million to over $51 million. Spain from $21.5 million to over $40 million.
So solid growth across the board.
Pretty much. And there are some other interesting projections for 2033, like Sweden reaching over $31 million, Denmark over $17 million, Switzerland over $19 million. And Luxembourg actually shows really strong growth, projected to hit over $60 million by 2033.
Fascinating. Okay, so Europe's steady with some strong players. Now let's talk about the region that, based on the global numbers, seems to be the real engine here. Asia Pacific. The overall growth looks huge.
Yes, Asia-Pacific is definitely the growth engine. The numbers are really impressive. It surged from $632.994 million in 2021.
Right, already larger than North America back then.
Exactly. And it's projected to reach $1,385.67 million. That's nearly $1.4 billion by 2033.
Wow.
With a strong CAGR of 6.59%. This region is actually on track to become the largest single market for parasols globally by 2033.
Incredible. What's driving that, do you think? Just sheer scale?
It's likely a combination. Rapid economic development in many countries, huge populations, rising disposable incomes, certainly urbanization driving demand for, outdoor amenities, restaurants, cafes.
Makes sense. So who are the major players fueling this incredible growth within Asia Pacific?
Well, China is a leading contributor, no surprise there. It was $139.259 million in 2021, and it's projected to more than double to $311.584 million by 2033. That's a CAGR close to 6.8%.
Strong.
Yeah, very. Japan is also a huge market, starting at $208.888 million in 21, and forecast to double to $416.522 million by 33.
Okay, so China and Japan are massive contributors.
Absolutely. But here's something really fascinating. India.
Ah, yes.
India shows the fastest growth rate in the entire report globally. It started at $69.629 million in 2021, but is projected to reach $168.391 million by 2033.
Okay, significant jump. What's the CAGR?
A very high 7.5%.
7.5%. That's remarkable.
It really is.
Yeah.
Think about the volume of new consumers, the expanding middle class.
Yeah.
It just highlights how development shifts these global markets.
Absolutely. A real story there. Any other key contributors in APAC?
Yeah, South Korea is also growing well, from about $33.5 million to over $70 million. Australia is projected to reach over $33 million by 2033. And you also see steady expansion from places like Singapore, heading towards $116.5 million, Southeast Asia collectively over $130 million, and Taiwan around $49.5 million.
Widespread growth across the region, but India's rate is just standout.
Definitely the highest we've seen so far.
Okay, so we covered North America, Europe, the Asia-Pacific powerhouse. Let's move on to South America and the Middle East. What are we seeing in these emerging regions?
Right. So South America shows steady growth. Its market was about $140.892 million in 2021, and it's set to almost double, reaching $272.53 million by 2033. That's a GGR of 5.883%, pretty much in line with Europe.
Okay, solid. Key countries there.
Key countries include Brazil, going from about $29 million to over $58 million, Argentina from $35 million to nearly $70 million, and Colombia actually shows strong growth from $45 million to over $90 million by 2033.
So Colombia is leading the charge there in terms of size.
Seems so, yes. Now, the Middle East, that's another region showing really strong growth. It started at $306.287 million in 2021, already quite significant.
Yeah, not small.
And is projected to more than double to $661.728 million by 2033. That comes with a robust CAGR of 6.719%.
Over 6.7%. So that's faster than the global average again. Faster than North America and Europe.
Exactly. It's showing remarkable acceleration.
Very interesting. Which countries are really making waves in the Middle East then? What's driving that?
Well, Saudi Arabia plays a major role. It was $107.281 million in 2021, projected to grow to $239.946 million by 2033.
Huge chunk of the market there.
It is. The UAE also shows rapid growth. Started smaller, $30.016 million, but expected to hit $68.164 million.
More than doubling, too.
Yes. And you also see significant contributions from Egypt, forecast to grow from $35 million to nearly $74 million. Turkey projected around $52 million by 2033. And Qatar, smaller base but strong growth from $14.7 million to over $32 million.
So what's the connection there? Why such acceleration in the Middle East? Is it tourism, construction?
It likely ties into the bigger picture, right? Lots of infrastructure development, a booming tourism sector in many
Right,
areas.
all those outdoor spaces need shade.
Exactly. And just the climate itself, the necessity of shade combined with increasing disposable income for, higher-end outdoor furnishings and amenities.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, finally, let's touch on Africa. How does its growth compare to these other regions, especially the faster growing ones we just discussed?
Africa's market is growing, but
Right.
definitely at a more moderate pace compared to others. It was $104.138 million in 2021,
Okay.
and it's projected to increase to $160.666 million by 2033. The Hackshay GR here is 3.626%.
Ah, so noticeably slower, about half the rate of the global average.
Correct. It's the slowest growth rate among the regions we've looked at.
Any specific country data for Africa?
Yes. The report highlights South Africa going from $31.345 million to $52.231 million by 2033. And Nigeria is projected to reach $67.384 million by then.
Okay, so that slower pace, likely linked to different economic stages or priorities.
That would be the logical assumption, yes.
Okay.
Varying stages of economic development across the continent, maybe different consumer priorities, or perhaps simply lower perceived need or affordability in some areas compared to others. Still positive growth, though.
Right, still growing. Okay, so we've toured the globe, basically, looking at parasols. After this really fascinating journey, what are the big takeaways? What does this all mean when you pull it together?
Well, I think the first big takeaway is just how substantial this market is. We're talking about something seemingly simple,
Yeah.
but it's on a very strong upward path, set to more than double in value globally by 2033, exceeding $4 billion.
Quite something.
It really is. And that growth isn't uniform, right? It's primarily being driven by Asia-Pacific, which is set to become the largest market,
Right.
and also the Middle East, both showing really robust acceleration, faster than the global average.
Okay, those are the key engines.
Exactly. But North America and Europe are also making strong, consistent contributions, both expected to roughly double their market size, too.
So growth across the board, just at different speeds.
Precisely. And then drilling down, we see specific countries like India, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE standing out with some of the fastest growth rates globally.
Yeah, India's 7.5% was striking.
Very. And it really highlights how regional demand, often tied to, economic expansion, tourism, maybe climate adaptation, is shaping the market.
And regions like Africa showing more moderate but still positive growth?
Correct. So I think the overarching point is that even everyday products, things you might overlook, can represent these huge, dynamic, multi-billion-dollar global markets with really complex forces at play.
It's a great reminder of that. So hopefully this deep dive today has given you, our listener, a kind of shortcut, a surprising but quick understanding of the dynamics within this global parasol market. Some hidden economic forces revealed.
Yeah, and maybe it raises a broader question for you to think about. When you look at any everyday item, what hidden market forces, what growth opportunities might be shaping its future that, well, you've never really considered before?
Exactly. That's the perfect thought to leave things on. What seemingly mundane product or industry out there might hold a multi-billion-dollar story just like this one if you only knew where to find the data.
Food for thought.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.